what I'm trying to figure out from everybody is if Austin Reaves is going to be traded. Remember when his agent came out and said something to the effect of second string centers, something along those lines? Maybe this is what he's referring to. I don't know 100% what he's referring to. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what the angle was of his agent. But here's what I will tell you. What I'm trying to figure out is what's that threshold where you say to yourself, if Austin Reaves is on the table, yes, I'm trading Austin Reaves for this caliber of a center. And then what's that threshold of saying, I'm not trading Austin Reaves for this caliber of a center? What's kind of that middle ground, I guess, that we can talk about? Because, listen, we all get it. If I told you that Giannis was available and he wanted to come to the Lakers and the Lakers had to trade Austin Reaves, of course. I mean, but we're talking about such a no-brainer, it's not even worth a discussion. Okay, at what stage do you get to a center where you're like, hey, you know what? That's actually a really interesting one. I'm not sure if that makes sense for the Lakers, but it also can make sense if they're going to give up on Austin Reaves because they feel like they got to go get a center. Dan Wyke had put something in the LA Times that basically it's got to be something significant if the Lakers are going to give up on Austin Reaves and they're going to allow him to, or they're going to trade him or kind of turn the page and decide, well, we got to get somebody that makes more sense for Luka, and we don't want to lock up $75-80 million in the backcourt just for two players that both of them have obviously great strengths, but they have wild they struggle on the defensive side. I mean, that's just, the more blunt way to put it. Okay, so here's an article. I'm going to walk through this with everybody here. Let's walk through this article real quick. This is on Yahoo Sports, and it's basically best replacements for Jackson Hayes if Jackson Hayes isn't going to be a Laker. And I just want to kind of walk through this with everybody because I want people's opinion. I want their thoughts on the caliber of players that we're looking at. All right, let me just get this where I need it to be. All right, got to make okay, so let's go through this. Okay, here's a player. Let me give everybody an example. Nic Claxton. What do people think of Nic Claxton? Because this is what I will say about Nic Claxton. Nice player. Age-wise, the right player, kind of somebody that you can look at and say, hey, this guy could be on the Lakers for 3, 4, 5 years, only 25 years old. I think his contract is very reasonable. He's on a 3-year, $68 million contract. Here are some of his stats right here, 10-7. Definitely, almost 2 blocks a game, by the way. Definitely a player, an athlete, a guy that would work really, really well with Luka Doncic. Okay, here's the question. Look part of this deal here. It might require the Lakers to part way with Austin Reaves, potentially Rui, Dalton Connect. This is just, obviously coming up with different trade scenarios out here. Is Nic Claxton good enough player to say, okay, hey, if we're going to get rid of Austin Reaves, that's the player that you want to get rid of? Okay, let me just play this out for everybody. If you got rid of Rui Hachimura and if you got rid of Austin Reaves, do you now feel like, and by the way, you added Nic Claxton, is that a team now adding Nic Claxton that's going to compete in the Western Conference for a potential a Western Conference Finals berth? Is that a team that's going to make a deep playoff run? I'm a fan of Nic Claxton. I'm just going to go through each one of these here real quick, and then I'll start looking at everybody's comments. I'm a fan of Nic Claxton. The only way, in my opinion, you trade for Nic Claxton, you better be keeping Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves, if I'm trading Austin Reaves for Nic Claxton, I'm sorry. I'm not on board on that one. Do they need Nic Claxton? Sure they do. But you're going to tell me Nic Claxton, Luka Doncic, Dorian Finney-Smith, and LeBron James, and go ahead and throw in some other little pieces in there, Jared Vanderbilt, whoever you want to say, that's going to compete in the Western Conference to try to get out of the West? I don't think so. So here's one example. I would say that, no, I don't think that makes any sense. Okay, here's Jarrett Allen. Here's another player. Again, this is just an article on Yahoo Sports. I want to walk through it just because I think it makes for some good conversation in regards to the caliber of player that you would trade a guy like Austin Reaves for. Okay, here's Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen, phenomenal. Nice player, right size. Look at his stats. 13 points a game, almost 10 rebounds, You know, a little bit older. So I'm not actually 100% sure how old Jarrett Allen is, but I know he's not a youngster. He's been in the league for a little bit. Here's the only difference here. This one is, are you able to put together a package where you're not giving up Austin Reaves in that package? If you are, then okay, I think these, you know, those are the types of things that are no-brainers. It's kind of similar to the Mark Williams trade when the Lakers were trying to trade for Mark Williams. If you're putting together a package, yes, it might cost you some draft compensation. I know they don't have a ton of draft compensation, but at the end of the day, are you keeping – if I asked everybody, what's the biggest asset that the Lakers have, I would tell you it's Austin Reaves. That's the biggest asset that they have. There isn't a bigger asset. They're not getting rid of Luka, so he's not going anywhere. LeBron's going to be 41 years old, so that's a different conversation. The biggest asset that the Lakers have right now is Austin Reaves. Dalton Knecht is an asset, but much, much smaller of an asset. Those draft picks are assets, but they're not as valuable as what Austin Reaves can be. They're probably going to be built into some trade anyways. Okay, so there's another player for you, Jarrett Allen. And then the last one is Daniel Gafford, which I still don't think the Lakers are going to probably make a move with the Dallas Mavericks in the near future. Here's another player that if, again, I'll go back to it. Every time I see Austin Reaves' name come up in supposed trades out there for these caliber of centers, I'm not interested. And it's not that those players can't help the Lakers, and it's not that, you know, those players wouldn't be assets to the Lakers. He's the biggest asset that you have. He's the best asset that you have. And if you just let one of those assets go, you know, obviously in one of these types of scenarios, then you're basically saying to yourself, this is it. This is what we're running with. And that means that team's got to compete for an NBA championship. And I got a difficult time thinking that the Lakers are going to be coming out of the Western Conference because they got Nic Claxton, but they lost Austin Reaves and they lost Rui Hachimura. That doesn't sound like to me that's going to be that's going to be the benefit for the Lakers. Now, if you're able to make a deal and you kept Austin Reaves, but you're able to make some kind of a deal where Rui Hachimura is involved or Gabe Vincent's involved, Dalton Knecht is involved, picks are involved, I think that's the path the Lakers are going to have to take, because I'm just not giving up Austin Reaves because they're in need of a big man. I think Austin Reaves has a tremendous amount of value, and maybe we're undervaluing how valuable he is for the Lakers. And I know a lot of people aren't too crazy about what Austin Reaves did in the summer, did in the playoffs. And I know a lot of people are down on Austin Reaves right now, but I still think he has a tremendous amount of value. And when I see names like that, I'm thinking in my mind, sure, you can try to put together a deal. You can give assets to another team, but I don't think you're giving up Austin Reaves in any of those types of deals. I was looking at this, just, you know, obviously this kind of comes with I'm looking at best big men in the NBA. Okay, we know it. Okay, you got the ADs of the world, Wembanyama, Bam Adebayo is on that list, Domantas Sabonis, Karl Anthony Towns, Şengün, Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, and then I think they had Jarrett Allen at number 11. Miles Turner was number 12. Brook Lopez was number 13. I don't think those are still the same. I mean, Ivica Zubac, you got to put in that category. He's been phenomenal. There's other players that are doing some good things right now in the NBA. But the type of center that the Lakers end up getting this summer that helps them clearly kind of try to put themselves in some type of a position where they can compete again, because we know they couldn't compete in the playoffs. The type of center that you get, what you give up to go get that center, is really going to be the question mark for the Lakers. I think for me, the thing that stands out the most is there a way you can hold on to Austin Reaves and still get a big that you feel like can match with Luka, can contribute on a night-in, night-out basis, can be a defensive strength for the Lakers rather than all the defensive liabilities that they had in the playoffs, a rebounder? Can you find a way, like you tried to do before the trade deadline, to get a big but keep Austin Reaves and keep some of those other assets? And if that costs you Dalton Knecht and a first-rounder and potentially a guy like Rui Hachimura or, you know, a Vando or something along those lines, or a Gabe Vincent, that's got to be the first path that the Lakers take. I'm not as quick to saying get rid of Austin Reaves, even though I understand he's got a tremendous amount of value. And if you do trade him, you better be getting something back of real value that's going to be on this Lakers team for years to come. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.